Okay, YOLO, right? Something did not work in like the last 3 minutes, and things kept failing. But I think we're good. Yeah, at least from my end, it looks like everything is working out. Just double checking. Yeah, yeah, everything looks fine on my end. So, good afternoon, good evening, class. How are we all doing today? Yes, well, that is unfortunately life, right? We can we can never really get across get what we want until we go for it. You're right. Luckily, though, luckily in our case, we have, you know, gone for it ish, and so that's fine. Hello? Oh, okay. No, just emails. Constant, incessant emails. As is. Yeah, why are you? I don't need to hear from you. I hear from you much too often these days. uh, I think you might be I think you might be overestimating your own interest. Well, regardless, and so today we are doing our military operations, and we're doing squirrels, and oh, actually, no, actually, we'll talk about it when we get to the squirrels. It's fine. Let's just get this over with, and no, that's not how it works. Wait, why didn't my? Huh, interesting. Oh, okay, no. Oh, I just a title I thought didn't change, but it turns out it was just my computer being laggy. It's all good. Yeah, yeah. Can we just get to the content instead of just like me having to sit here and take all of this abuse from a lot of you? Yes, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. That's why I stream. It's because I want to be constantly made fun of, and to just sit here and take it. Well, okay. See, if you guys were creative with your insults, if you guys were, for lack of a better word, interesting with your insults, I would consider reading it out loud. But you guys aren't, right? Like you're just not. So then, that's much less exciting. Like. Like for example, this last one, calling me a loser by our friend whose name ends with, I'm not even gonna bother. You guys know exactly what I'm talking about. Like, if that were something far more interesting, I would be much more likely to comment on it. Yeah, that's right. That's right. I'm calling you out. Maybe you should try being interesting for once in your life. Yes. Okay. Oh, actually, let's put the red on top. There we go. Okay, so let's talk about this. Since that's what I'm being paid to do, and you know, if you guys won't let me do my job, then I'll have to forcefully do my job. Imagine being paid to do this. Yeah. I mean, coming from you, imagine paying someone to do this. Excuse me. Uh, well, I think that's more a question for you than it is for me, isn't it, my friend? Anyway, so we were talking about this just last week. We're talking about modern mechanized, not modern, like 1940s mechanized operations, and how I mean, obviously we were talking about this in the Discord and not on stream, but we're talking about how the operational how do we say, operational doctrine for this red force was quite interesting, right? In that they were going for this very very long, a very long and very sustained attack, right? Yeah, so essentially the idea for the force that inspired our red team is that modern armies are now so big and so resilient that it's very very difficult, or contemporary armies, we should say, contemporary armies between powers of equal-ish technology and industrial sense, well, not industry but technology, armies were so big and so resilient that you could not win a single decisive battle and completely destroy an army. It just wasn't done. You just can't, right? And history bears that out with the amount of miraculous recoveries that the army that inspired the Black Force here has pushed out, right? So essentially what the doctrine of deep battle then advocates is something a little bit different, in that you, instead of attacking and trying to just encircle and destroy a small force, you want to keep hammering a army along a single axis for 10, 20, 40, 100 kilometers. And by doing so, you drive really deep into the flanks, and then, if you do that from two different compass points, then you'll meet up somewhere in its strategic depth of your enemy. And once you've accomplished that, you've essentially made it. You make these gigantic envelopments, right? Yeah, exactly. Like it doesn't make any sense to do really tight, really well. I mean, in video games, different. But in terms of in terms of contemporary reality, it didn't make any sense to try to encircle small formations one at a time. Simply because there were so many of them, right? And the amount of paperwork and the amount of resilience of these small formations meant that you could encircle, a single division, cut it off, take it apart, and then do the next one. But that is extremely slow, and that gives your enemy a lot of time to respond, right? So exactly. You want to be moving at a much faster pace than if not the enemy expects, but at least then the enemy is able to keep up, right? So we should do this, and in the final form we will only see this arrow in sort of like the, actually I can't, no, not like that. How do I do it? I think it's this button. No, this button. There we go. So it looks like that, right? And so essentially, again, we can see that's exactly what we're doing here, and that is, front A is attacking towards this area, front B is attacking towards this area, right? Yeah, the goal is to capture City A, and we are very distinctly not targeting City A for very good reason, right? Like a lot of you had talked about, a lot of well, at least the ones I had. Excuse me. The how many of you? I think it was like 20 of you that handed in your homework. Most of you were talking about attacking sort of into this direction. So like if your two tank forces met here at, what is this, J10, J11, then you could cut off city B and then try to drive straight at city A, right? And that is, for lack of a better word, that is cute. It don't get me wrong, it does work. It does work. What? Just switching out a chair. Give me one second. It does work. But the problem behind that particular line of thought is the existence of extensive fortifications right in front of City A, Town D, and Town B. It means that you are you have once you have a line that looks something like, let me just draw it out just to show. Once you have a line that looks something like that, it is very difficult, actually, I would argue, to then push into City A. There is the value of the defensive cannot be understated, right? Like, even I know we released the numbers. I released the numbers for these, so it's like, we know that the Black Force has dramatically less formations than the Red Force, but even so, like, to go against these kinds of defenses, and then there's a river in the way, it is difficult, and we are not on a time constraint, right? So if we were on a time constraint, that would be different. You might be driving towards, what is this? This is G11, and this is square J8. You might be driving towards these squares so that you could cut off City A from these two towns and then try to pull it out that way. But we're not on a time constraint, so the idea then is that we do not want to needlessly throw resources at a very inefficient grind. And that's what we're doing here. And that's why we're doing what we're seeing here, as opposed to attacking Army Group Center and City 8 directly. Does that kind of make sense? Yeah, exactly. Essentially, what we're doing is we're forcing, if we're successful. So, and I guess I'll show it now. Phase 2. I want to use this red, but we're going to use it at 75%. 75%, excellent. Oh, that didn't type 75. This new keyboard, this Moonlander, I'm not sure I like it. It's all good. It's all good. Well, we'll talk about it, I think, tomorrow. Yeah, I'll have some amount of review tomorrow. Essentially, what we're saying is we're looking at, like, these kinds of penetrations into black territory, right? So, we have yeah, no, that's fine. Do this. Wait, why is this faded? That's weird. I guess it did change opacity. Okay, cool. Yeah. I mean, the software is strange enough that I still have very little good idea of what it's trying to do. So that's 1, and let's say that's 2. Okay. And then, oops. And then you're going to continue going in this direction. Oh, you know what? We don't actually need to do it like that. We'll do it. We'll set this to 100. Oh, not 0. Just bear with me. Bear with me. Wait. It's a software issue. It's not. Okay, no, it's my issue. It's not a software issue. They're happy. This is going to be phase 2. Can't type on this keyboard. Well, no, it's not. It's not actually the keyboard's fault per se. Well, we'll get into why tomorrow. Okay, 75. Actually, do 60 because we only need really 3 of these. Okay. So by the first day, we'll have pushed, or not first day, by the first phase, we'll have pushed deep into black territory in this way. And so I hope it becomes obvious what the idea is already from this. Essentially, we are pushing into black territory in order, not in order, in order to oops. We're pushing into. Oh come on! Oh come on! There we go. There we go. This arrow back a little. We're pushing into black territory to destroy pieces of its flank support of Army Group Center. And what this will end up doing is it'll end up exposing the flank of Army Group Center, and that'll allow us then to draw these this formation out even further and to defeat it in detail afterwards, right? So, for example, if we now go to the black layer and we draw out these lines, we'll see that it's going to look something like this. Not in the red, no. Why is it? It had clearly shown me that it was black earlier. Anyway, so it'll look something like this. And so immediately you can tell that this is a salient that's going to become an issue. And that's what Deep Battle is about, right? Like, so in about a week, let's say between phase 1 and phase 2 like this, a week have passed. And so Army Group Center is being forced to extend itself much farther to the east and also march farther to the west. Like that. Let's delete this. And then one last one. And that'll look something like this. So Army Group East is in trouble, Army Group West is in trouble. And yes, you are also in trouble. Yes. For not showing up to class. That's right. Suffice it to say, the point here is once our formations have made a breakthrough, and they're almost bound to make a breakthrough, because of the force compositions. Once they have done so, it now we're forcing black to adjust, the black force to adjust to this new reality where its formations now have to go much farther out. Of course, the Fifth Army, this can move up to support Army Group East, but that still leaves this entire western flank that is in danger, right? Especially because this front, let's not forget, this front alone probably has as much force, as much manpower as all of the black forces in the theater, which means that even if this closes behind, and traps some amount of forces here, there is still another attacking attempt into the rear of City B, right? Yeah. Essentially that is the point, that you've done massive damage, and now if you're able to then plan and hit Army Group Center while it's being distracted by all of these other fires, then you are going to tear it apart because you're pulling it this way and that until it kind of falls apart at the edges. And yeah, that's essentially it. Oh, that is also a good point. Yeah, we'll do that actually. So the suggestion I got was actually to make go in the reverse, make the first layer. Oh right, yeah. We have to kind of repeat. So the idea is we make the first layer the dimmest, and then the subsequent layers become darker and darker. And that is technically also the right way to do it, so thank you very much. I completely hadn't thought of that, but that is very, very true. Okay. Oh, and we do have to delete this. Just the first line. That, just the first line. That, just the first line. Excellent. Okay. And of course this. Let's say now the Fifth Army is expanding its own sort of areas of operation into this direction. But that point remains, right? Like, the Fifth Army is a garrison for Town F, and therefore, what will happen if we lose Town F? Well, what will happen if something comes from the south? Well, we don't. In this case, we don't care about the south. So the Fifth Army consider it as theater reserve, right? So it is being thrown now into this counterattack, and we'll see how it goes. This here. So there's going to be a counterattack in this direction. But what happens if you involve the final reserves of the theater? Once there's a breakthrough in any other part of the line, then you're kind of screwed. Yes. No, that is the... I still blame your keyboard, don't worry. Okay, so we have to delete these lines. Arrow. And then on the side of the red, delete that. Delete that. What are you selecting next? Not that, this, that. Okay. So now at 80%, we're going to show just how this once again pushes forward. And in essence, you know, like, it makes a lot of sense when we say that. Yes, I know, it's in black. Just give me 1 second. There, are you happy? Now it's in red. Right, so now once again, the red force has closed in on the salient, and it's going to try to stop all of the black forces from leaving the salient and creating a proper envelopment in here. Oh, can't draw for the life of me. Like that, excellent. It's going to be black. This tank core will go in there. Excellent. And so now this is a little pocket. There's nothing, literally nothing out here that can come and rescue this. So what's going to happen, right? Obviously, in this case, we have to say that that Army Group North is desperately trying to protect Town A, and that's going to already take up most of its precious resources. We're going to need Army Group Center to extend further to the west, along the river, of course, and that's going to pull even more formations out from this area. And let's say in the east, we do something like that. And then that. Then add to this. Forgot to do this. Oops. That's fine. So I'll have. It should right? Yeah, it should remember my colors for each of these, but it doesn't. A shame that it doesn't. But anyway, so now we have another envelopment here, but obviously, in this one instance, we are actually kind of it actually kind of works out because we are able to say bring in a counterattack that's going to attempt to relieve it, right? Like so these two pincers these two, shall we say, fronts have made contact, but they are, there we go, but they're not still fully closed, so we can see that there might be some amount of success here. But even if there is, right, even if there is, you're involving a lot of forces from Army Group Center and Army Group and the Fifth Army just to keep this alive. So then what happens if you attack in this direction, or if you attack in this direction, or if you break through the critical line at River B, right? So yeah, well, that in history, historically, that is also what happened. So I guess you're not wrong. Our friend in the private class said you die, and that's basically we're going to do two more actually, because I actually kind of enjoy them. Let's here. As well, bear in mind I have to delete all. Oops. What did I just do? Like 3. Get it? There we go. And then we're going to do red. These two have to go. Oh, oh, I didn't add in arrows. Okay, that makes sense. And then back to the there we go. That looks about right. So that has closed over that direction. This has closed over this direction. It does look a little bit messy, doesn't it? What if we just did this? Like we just show the initial ones, and then we just, yeah, like we do that. Maybe we'll leave that one for counterattack. That look better? Yeah, I think so. Okay. And so now what we're going to do is show the next part of this. So in this case, we have, you know, the northern pincer of this from front A with its 2 tank armies monitoring, screening town A. And then we're going to have essentially the 3 tank armies that are from the southern pincer attack and cross River B, like that. Right, so that's... wait, what? Oh, there we go. Forgot to change the... and we're also going to have that attack that I talked about on this end coming in this direction, right? So we can call this essentially phase 2 with the two fronts having created these pockets and are in the process of digesting these pockets. They are still able to start a second attack, right? A second sort of wave of attacks. Here as well, and then to add this. Okay, yeah. So it's going to look like that. We're probably going to see these two link up, and then we're going to see this get into the rear of town B, and then that'll be the end. We don't even need to think about what happens afterwards, because once this front is in the rear of town B and has managed to take town C, then city A is just like there's no way to defend that, right? Smaller. Excellent. Make this smaller. Excellent. Yeah. We'll talk about squirrels after this. Don't worry. How long has it been? Can we do a quick time check, please? Really? Oof. Okay. Well then, in that case, we will discuss squirrels, but we will sort of do it in a more overviewy fashion. Yeah, because I've been meaning to talk about rebooting that story, because like my writing style has settled a little bit for that, right? And so that means if I were to restart it, it might actually be a lot more interesting. This red, this red, and then Fifth Army will just simply look like that. Yep. Okay, so and then we'll do the fifth one. What do you mean? Like the whole that's the whole point, right? Like the earliest. I don't know why there's a. It's something to do with the keyboard that I haven't figured out yet. Yeah. So the idea is that once I have my writing style settled down, I think it would be really interesting to essentially do it again, right? Like essentially start from the beginning and do it in such a way that it is that we can tell a coherent story with the proper writing style, etc., in such a way that is actually interesting to look at, right? Okay, so this is let's complete the rest of these lines. That line, I think this line and that line. Yes. Excellent. Okay, so red in phase 5. Phase 5 is 100. So red, let's say, has captured town C. Why does it not look like it's 100% saturation? It doesn't, right? Yeah, why does it not look like it's 100% saturation? No, it is definitely not. Oh, okay. Because of that. 100% saturation. There we go. Okay. So Let's see. So again, we just talked about this with red sort of forcing and jamming itself into this position. It becomes more and more unlikely. For example, now city B is close to being enveloped. This remains the same. We can say that that remains the same. Then say that this kind of line from the black force, this kind of line from the black force, and something like this. Right, so city B is now dependent, like the rail line has been cut, which means that it's now dependent on this like hilly, I don't know, road, for lack of a better word, right? It does look a little bit crazy, doesn't it? Yeah, well, unfortunately, there's I don't know what I can do about that. Um, that might not be a bad idea, but I think that would also be too much work to justify it like that. Yeah. Yeah, like I would actually have to go in and sort of like um draw over the lines, because I would, as to say for example, I would have to color in this area and make it transparent for everything else. I'd have to color in this area and all of that, and that's just a little bit of a faff, right? Yeah. Yeah, I'm just gonna assume people know what I'm talking about. Well, I mean, I assume you guys know what I'm talking about. Oh, wait a second. Oh, town labels are above legends. That's weird. So we're going to just add in some lines. 2, this will be red, and we have 5 phases. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Where are our classmates? You mean the public school classmates? Because I assume you guys can tell that you exist in the Discord. I don't know. Probably lurking. Well, okay. Most people aren't quite as outspoken as a lot of you. Okay, let's make that very clear. They 0. Yeah, because you guys have problems. I'm just gonna. No, you guys. Oh, God. You guys certainly have problems. let's say each of these is 10 days worth. So we're looking at about a. Oh no, maybe 7 days. 7 days is better. So day 7, day 15, 1, day 28. So in about a month's time, the Red Army has pushed its way from this position along River A deep into the black lines. And this is how much? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 times what, 42-ish? Yeah, that's about 200 kilometers over a month. That's reasonable. Absolutely. So this should be 2. 8. There we go. Okay. Yeah, that's it. Actually, that's not a bad idea. The idea was I could split this into about two. So for the first image, I just show the first, say for example, the first three phases, and then in the last image, I show these phases. I mean, would we? I was saying that maybe we would need to. Yeah, we'll just. Oh, right. Because everything was done incrementally. We could just do this for the last phase, and that'll be that, right? Because this makes it very clear what's happening. Like these guys are obviously. If we just retain that. Yeah, this works. This works. So we'll do this, and then we'll do this. Okay. Just do that. 15-1. I'm still blaming your keyboard. Oh, and we'll need this because we need these guys to show that. Yeah, and then okay. So I'll type this up, and then we can and I'll send it out, and then we can talk about it. But I think it's fairly self-explanatory what happened and why we chose to go at it in this particular method. Do we have any questions before I move on? No, excellent. Yeah, I don't know what the next question is. I don't think I'll be using this particular map. It's just, yeah, we've used this map for a while now, so I'll need to make a new map. Yes, exactly. Let me just pull up Squirrels. And I have wanted to talk about this whenever it loads. There we go. I had wanted to talk about this because we are now at a stage of this war where it's kind of static, right? And I don't actually see this position changing by a lot unless we introduce dramatically more forces, and that feels like it's kind of cheating. So I guess well, it does feel like it's cheating, right? Because it's like we've already escalated this thing from the very beginning where we're talking about brigade sized formations, where we are at army group level, right? Like we are now army group level. Like the commander of the first army group is literally one of our original brigade commanders, and that's General Elm, yes. And divisional commander, like these guys have been elevated to such a point. Like we've done power level creep to the max, and I feel like it is getting a little bit overwhelming in terms of storytelling, because there's no clear end here, right? Like there's no end goal in this particular how do we say, in this particular scenario, because it's just total war, all war all the time. That doesn't mean we can't continue with this, but I was thinking we could perhaps do it in such a way that we can how do I say, that we can create these types of limited campaign maps with like still spread out over a long period. Say for example, if we just simply use what's 2.0, this one, right? Like if we just use this one map and we have a clear goal with two armies arrayed against each other, and then we can talk about sort of tactics and strategy a little bit more in fine detail with our squirrels, in yeah, exactly, like being able to have defined structure is actually quite beneficial to storytelling. So I'm thinking that that's something that we could consider trying. I would like everyone's opinion on it, at least our sponsors' opinions. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So I'm seeing a lot of do both. Obviously, obviously, I don't have enough time to do both. Or rather, if I did both, then the maybe actually, maybe. But what we'll do? Remember, I talked about a soft reboot, right? Like, so maybe instead what we'll do is we'll start again, except this time instead of dramatically um, escalating in terms of force composition, we'll do it in such a way that it doesn't escalate quite that much, right? Like last time, whenever a line got broken, I would always consciously introduce more formations so that the line got restored. But now that I think about it, that's not necessarily what we need to do, right? Because in this case, if we're simply talking about two armies or two nations at war, when the lines become so settled, that's more of a heavily industrialized setting. Whereas when we're talking about squirrels in the middle of London, obviously they're not quite that industrialized, right? They are much less. Give me 1 second. Why don't you guys leave me your comments? I'll be back in like a minute and a half. I think I have a delivery. I love when I tell you to like leave me your thoughts, I don't mean pick up on what this one person said that is completely unrelated to the topic and then just spam it. And yet that's what you lot keep doing. To answer that completely unnecessary question, no, I did not go to the bathroom. No, it was actually a delivery. Okay. So if I may just bring the topic back to what we were actually talking about, it appears that there is a slight um a slight bias towards shorter, more self-contained stories. Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, I know that not all of you read every single one that I post. I would never expect you to, right? Like that's nonsensical. um. Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. Essentially, by having a reboot, it would allow me to. It would also allow me to essentially tell the story in a much nicer way, right? Yeah. Yes, soft reboot. We've talked about it. Can you like listen? Okay, I mean, okay, all right. Don't listen. You're right. You're right. What does everyone else think? Uh, yeah. I mean, it makes sense, right? Uh huh. Oh, hello. Hi, Brett. How are you doing? Did you just join us? No, I'm talking to our public school classmate Brett. Yes, you know the one that named you all class students. Makes sense to me. What year of high school are we in? I'm not even sure we're in high school with some of you lot. I'm doing well, Brett. Glad that you could join us today. Um, let's return to the topic at hand. Are we all okay with a soft reboot? I'm going to we're going to put this on hold. We don't have to necessarily stop it, but I think we can come back to this in sort of the near future. Sound good? Excellent. In that case, let me just. Oh, I don't have a file. That's not the right button. This is the right. Ooh, ooh, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? And this is embedded. Why is it so slow embedded like this? That's weird. Is it slow when I try to move this? Oh, it is. Okay. Oh, yep. So we're going to have London embedded like this, and then I don't have the other one. We'll figure it out. Yeah, we'll figure it out. It's somewhere. Right? Oh wait, no, they do match. No, no. There's a bit missing here in the marina. Yeah. Okay. Like that. Okay. So in this case, we might actually do something like this, where we essentially take just this area and turn this into a campaign map. For example, say we'll start with a technocratic army in the bottom left, and a collective army in the top right. Neither side gets many reinforcements, perhaps even none, and the idea is to fight a battle that'll maybe take this top right section. What do we think? Red, what do you think? I'm asking our public school classmates because I don't value our private school classmates' opinions quite as much. Well, I mean, honestly, it's your fault for not for making fun of me all the time, right, you lot? So that's why I don't care about you guys. Um, Brett, I was asking, what do you think about me creating these smaller storylines based on a single map like this? Oh, weird. Why is that not? Oh, because it's been okay. Dramatic, made bigger. Just take a cue. We use this, and in this case, I would go back to using. Yes, I was just about to say that actually. I would go back to using traditional division counters like this. Um, excuse me. What? What? Oh, did I accidentally change? um, yes, I don't know what I'm doing. Why don't you just shoot me right now? You're right. I shouldn't have said that. Cause yes, I just know somebody's going to do that. Ah, let's change the. Wait, what? Now I'm confused. It's full here. Why is it enforced 150 by 150? It would be interesting. It would be like a yeah. Essentially, also, Brett, it would mean that I could tell smaller stories and stories that are much easier to understand, right? Like that. I think that's the important part. Um, the other kind of more annoying part is I don't know what this means. Now, why? Am I just crazy? I can't be because this is fine. This looks like it's fine. This document is fine. It's 300 by 150. Why is it that when we get in here, it is not 300 by 150? Why does this change? I'm so confused. No, I genuinely don't get it. This is. Let's try it. Try another. Let's say I take that. That is fine. Say I take that. That is fine. Our recourse is fine. What if I take that? That is fine. So it's just this infantry division that's doing this really weird thing. I genuinely have no idea. Okay, so I'll figure that out, but I think we were kind of settled on. Yeah, we're going to vote on, or no, the vote had already been taken, and I'm going to take the majority opinion, which is we're going to no hold on with the overarching story and tell some of these smaller stories as vignettes. Yeah, and we'll probably like these smaller stories will probably be done over maybe a 2 week period, right? Like because they are smaller battles. There's no real like big overarching war ongoing, so we'll yeah, exactly. Like if I did want to, we could very well tie in these individual armies to to a greater story, right? And we could talk about how they're maneuvering between here and there, that kind of idea, and that would actually make a lot of sense. It's just that the front line being so heavily locked down made the last Squirrel War story kind of, unless like you needed to keep escalating, or I needed to keep escalating things to make sure that it remained interesting, and at some point it just gets really it gets a little bit tedious because it means that things have to suddenly work on or things have to suddenly be moved around quite a bit. Yeah, and I really do like so recently I'm sure you all have noticed I've taken to only describing character motion instead of also including big force movements. But I really did like including those as well. So by creating vignettes like this, I think we can go back to sort of both, right? Both the character thoughts, but also a big description of the war that's ongoing, right? That's really all I'm trying to say. Yeah, exactly. Okay, all right. With that having said, we are done for today. Um, yeah, it's been an hour. I mean, I spent probably too much time talking about the military operations question, but it's fine. It's fine. I hope everyone had fun. Before we leave, are there any final questions for the class from the class, whomever? I'm going to stop responding to these "Are you crazy?" questions. Let's just. You guys know very well if I'm crazy or not. Well, I guess it's more fun that way, right? Okay. Well, excellent. So I guess there are no more questions. What do I think about the? um. Oh, I did say I wanted to talk about it yesterday, right? Yeah. Okay. Let's spend like just a few minutes talking about it. Let me add that in. What time is it? It's what's the time? 1:03. Okay. So let's start. One. Google Android monopoly. Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about that real quick. The fact that we now know that Google was desperately trying to be anti-competitive in terms of the Google Play Store. The emails that were released show that very clearly. The sheer bribery of third-party device creators to keep them in on Google. It really shows very clearly, uh, literally everything that I've been saying, right? Like the Android, the existence of Android is one big hypocrisy because they want to hide under the they want to hide behind the fact that, oh look, you can install whatever you want, uh, and therefore claim that they're not a monopoly. and that they're somehow better than Apple, when in reality it's very obvious that not only are they not better than Apple, in some ways they're worse, right? Because Apple doesn't, as far as we know right now, Apple hasn't needed to change advertising. Well, I mean, obviously Apple doesn't have to deal with third-party device manufacturers, but as far as we know, Apple hasn't tried bribing game companies and um, to not sideload, right? So essentially, Google is bribing companies to make sure that their software is released on the Android Play Store, as opposed to allowing users to install it directly, which means that Google gets a piece of the transaction whenever someone buys anything, right? And so Google is just making money off that passively, and that's fine. That's a fine business model. The making money off the platform passively thing, the App Store model, absolutely, that's perfectly fine. The problem that arises is when you are anti-competitive, right? Like, if you say that Android is an open platform, that everyone can make a storefront, and that people can sell stuff on their own store, and therefore would not need to give Google money, then you go on to bribe people. You don't compete fairly, but you go on to bribe people to use your own platform. Then that is the definition of anti-competitive, right? The sheer absolutely the defining trait of a monopoly is that it is to not it is to bribe people to use your stuff so that you have better profits. 100%, right? And so, like, it's what I've been saying all this time. Google is a giant hypocrisy that hides behind the ideals of a startup to to make as much profit as possible. And technically speaking, they are right to make as much profit as possible. And no one's saying that they are not allowed to. Absolutely, they should. But it's that hypocrisy that I don't like, and that people still defend that is defended with arguments that Google has given, right? And so, like, how naive must you be to think that a giant, like one of the biggest companies in the world, would still do this? It's a little bit nonsense. Anyway, yeah, I don't want to go further into it, so we'll just say thank you very much for watching for today. I mean, if you want to sponsor one, yeah, sure. I can talk about this for ages, but it's honestly not that interesting. It's just going to come back to like, I'll just give examples from Chrome, I'll give examples from Android, I'll give examples from, let's say, Fuchsia. We don't even know what Fuchsia is yet, right? Like, oh god, fuck. Like that's the other thing. Google has made a new a new operating system that is not Android, that they're deploying on things like Nest Hub and all of that. And they're saying, oh look, everyone can contribute, it's all open source, blah 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 blah. But we don't actually know enough about it to actually comment. And that in itself is just the audacity of that, right? Like, it reminds me very much of, like, say for example, a former Soviet press releases that talk about how great life is, and how, our means of production have increased by 55%, and yet nobody could see, no average citizen could see the improvement in their own lives. It's kind of the same thing. Yeah, okay, I'm not comparing Google to communism. No, that's not what I'm doing. I'm talking about the disconnect between what is being said and what is being experienced on the ground. And I think in that case, these two kinds of societies are kind of similar. Okay. Okay, with that having said, please don't use Google Chrome. Please don't use Chrome-based browsers. And we shall see you guys tomorrow, where I will be reviewing or ranting about the Moonlander keyboard that one of our sponsors has so kindly provided me, and we'll go from there. Excellent. Bye-bye.